All right, guys, we have our last example here, example 6, which is going to be breaking out of multiple loop levels, okay? So you see what we're going to do here on the script. So we're going to have a for loop. We're going to have an echo statement. We're going to start up another loop, but it's going to be inside the first one, so it's going to be our inner loop. We're going to have an echo statement. We're going to create an if statement inside of this inner loop. We're going to have it break. We're going to finish the if statement. We're going to finish our inner loop, and we're going to finish our outer loop. Okay? Let's go ahead and jump to our virtual box here, and let's check that out in action. So we're going to name this one break-levels.sh, okay? Always, step number 1 in each script is /bin/bash or whatever interpreter you want to use. We're going to go ahead and start that first loop, so we're going to name it outer loop, just for the sake of understanding what we're doing. And 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay. Now remember, you can put anything you want here for the variable in a for loop. In this case, we're going to name our variable outer loop. We're going to say for outer loop in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, do an echo statement dash n. Remember, the dash n just kind of hacks off that new line, so there won't be a new line after it. We're going to say outer loop. We're going to add a bunch of spaces here, and we're going to enter echo statement. So basically, this is going to be group 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way through the for loop. Now we're going to create a second for loop here inside of this outer loop, and we're going to say for inner loop in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, do echo dash in to get rid of that new line. We're just going to say inner loop. Okay, we're going to add a space there, and then we're going to close our echo statement. So that should echo 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Now we're going to add an if statement inside of this inner loop. We're going to say if variable inner loop is equal to 3, then so colon, then break. Now guys, this is a command. Okay, so this is actually breaking the loop, is what it's doing. Okay, and then we're going to close our if statement with phi. We're going to close our first loop with done, and we're going to close our last loop with done. Okay, notice how these are lining up. So first we have to close our if statement here. So this is lined up with our if statement. We have to close our second inner loop, so it's lined up with this for loop here. And then we close our last outer loop, and it's lined up with this for statement here. Okay, so spacing is important. So basically what this is doing, we're creating a for loop. It's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's going to echo group 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And inside of that, it's going to echo 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. However, it says if inner loop is equal to 3, then break. So when it hits number 3 here, when this loop equals 3, or when this variable inner loop is equal to 3, it's going to break the loop altogether, okay? So let's see what happens. Before we can do that, though, we have to make it executable for everyone so that we can run it. Okay? And then we can go ahead and run it, and let's see what happens. Okay? So, we saw our prompt got a little bit of smush there. But we see group 1, 1, 2, 3, group 2, 1, 2, 3, group 3, 1, 2, 3, group 4, 1, 2, 3, group 5, 1, 2, 3. So here's what happened. The first loop is running, right? And then it went through our second loop, and it echoed 1, 2, 3, and then it broke, right? And it stopped our inner loop. Then our outer loop ran again, did the same thing. Ran through our inner loop 3 times before breaking. And then it went through our outer loop a 3rd time. And then went through our inner loop 3 times before breaking, and so on, all the way up to 5, right? Because that's when our for loop was. And let's go ahead and pull up our script just so we can see that. So it went through our inner loop once, our outer loop once, and then our inner loop 3 times. It went through the outer loop twice, and then the inner loop 3 times. Then it went back to our outer loop for the 3rd time, the inner loop again 3 times, 4th time, and 5th time. And then finally when our outer loop finished, the whole thing finished, right? because we only put break on the inner loop. If we would have put an if statement here underneath our outer loop with the same qualification saying, hey, on number 3, go ahead and break the loop, then this would have stopped at 3 as well, right? But it was only on our inner loop. It was only breaking the inner loop. So the inner loop would finish at 3, and then it would go back to our outer loop, okay? So this is a good way that you can break a loop if maybe you want to do a loop, and then you want to create another loop inside of it, but you don't want it to run a certain amount of times, right? You want to go ahead and stop after a certain condition is met, okay? So that's how you can control loops using the break command. So that's our last example, guys. I hope you learned a little bit more about bash scripting. I hope that you're starting to feel a little creative and starting to understand a little bit more about bash scripting at a higher level or a more detailed level. If you need a little bit of extra help, go back through those PowerPoint slides, look at everything we did, and then also follow this link at the end of the PowerPoint slides for some private bash scripting and Linux sessions. We do have monthly and weekly plans available. This has been a project by coding-bootcamps.com. I'm looking forward to seeing you in our other projects as well as our other courses.